Tonight on KGW News.
We genuinely thought we were going to be murdered.
A blowtorch-wielding vandal terrorizes a Portland couple and allegedly leaves behind a hateful message. Plus,
he hit me right in the chest.
Hit by his own truck and as it was being stolen. How this man thinks he found the thief years later by watching KGW. Then the local shops shutting down tomorrow in support of immigrants and against the administration.
I know that this is right for me and my business.
And later, just 1 month after they thought they'd have to close for good.
Thank you, Portland. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What turned things around for this longtime Portland oyster bar. But first to our top story, with some local businesses in the Portland metro and across the country set to shut their doors on Friday as part of a nationwide protest against the tactics of federal immigration agents. Catherine Cook spoke with two local businesses taking different approaches. Catherine?
David, both share the same goal. They're sending a message to the federal government demanding that they stop separating families and killing protesters. For some, it's a demonstration that will cost them.
At Ice Queen in Southeast Portland, Rebecca Smith works hard to grow her vegan ice cream shop, especially this time of year.
January is slowest month for like any restaurant.
So why then, on a Friday, one of her busiest days of the week, would she and her employees agree to close up shop? They're joining a national strike, urging people to skip work, shopping, and school in order to protest ICE.
There are bigger things at play here and bigger questions than like my business. It's just about human dignity.
The strike comes after federal agents killed two people, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, in Minneapolis, spurring protests nationwide.
I hope people come out in droves. I hope we see record numbers on the streets, not just in Portland, but across the nation and across the world.
Cyrus Ichiza is executive chef at Jade Rabbit. Despite calls to close, his restaurant is one of many that will stay open Friday, unable to bear the financial strain that closing would create. He's grateful for his customer support and for anyone standing up against ICE.
We're going to do what we can to stop this machine, to stop what's going on out into the world in whatever ways that we can. It isn't necessarily about who's wrong or right and what action it is. It's just that every single one of us is taking an action.
Back at Ice Queen, customers who dropped in Thursday meant just a little bit more.
We need to bring a voice to everything that's happening and the injustice that's going on.
One last ice cream before the ice out.
Several businesses staying open tomorrow plan to donate some of their proceeds to organizations that support immigrants. Among them, Petunia's Pies and Pastries and Broader Cafe. We'll post a more complete list on KGW.com. David.
Catherine Cook in the newsroom there. Thanks, Catherine. Meanwhile, Border Czar Tom Homan promised today there would be a drawdown of federal law enforcement in Minnesota, a statement President Trump seemed to contradict just a few hours later.
The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect.
Will you be pulling back immigration enforcement agents out of Minnesota?
We want to keep our country safe. We'll do whatever we can to keep our country safe.
So not pulling back?
No, not at all.
The president, however, praised the work Homan is doing on the job. When it comes to said drawdown, Homan said officers would be more focused on working in jails and prisons and less focused on street operations. Okay, let's take you live to the nation's capital because this evening we learned the White House reached a deal with Senate Democrats to pass a short-term spending bill funding Homeland Security. And while the agreement funds most of the government through September, DHS and by extension ICE would only be funded for 2 weeks. To buy some time for negotiations around things Democrats are asking for example, for all agents to wear body cameras and masks to come off. The Senate is set to vote on the package tomorrow. It appears, though, the government might technically partially shut down over the weekend since the House is in recess and cannot vote on the plan until Monday. Well, staying with immigration here in the Northwest, a former U.S. Customs and Border Protection commissioner is accusing federal agents of using unnecessary force against protesters at Portland's ICE building. Those statements, part of new declarations in an ACLU-backed lawsuit against the federal government. Protesters and freelance journalists want a court order that limits the use of tear gas and other munitions near Portland's ICE facility. So the plaintiffs asked the former head of the CBP, Jill Kurlikowski, to review the use of force by agents. Court filings show he found a, quote, pervasive pattern of excessive force that violated DHS policies. That includes 1, repeatedly failing to give warnings before using force, and 2, misusing crowd control weapons such as firing pepper balls directly at people. The lawsuit also includes testimony from a Vietnam veteran and his wife, who we previously spoke with, who attended an October protest and left injured.
They've never seen a real war zone, the people that are, if you will, protecting it. But they're more of a problem than a solution.
The federal government has not responded to the lawsuit originally filed in November, but we could learn more at a status conference tomorrow. Well, let's take you outside on this Thursday night, Friday Eve, with the rain winding down as we take a live look over downtown Portland. Now, Matt, it sounds like there is more wet weather on the way. What's the timing looking like?
Yeah, there is more rain on the way. And you know what? We'll take as much as we can get in January because we had such a long dry streak during the month. Salem right now is 42, and yeah, the sky has cleared. And while that sounds good, and it's nice, we get a full moon this weekend on Sunday, there is an issue that comes after the rain. 3/800ths of an inch, though, in Portland, making it our second wettest day of the month. Back on the 6th of January, we had nearly double that amount. And you see the amounts really taper off as you head south and east away from northwest Oregon. But the thing that's happening now, the legacy of the rain, followed by a clearing sky, is fog is forming. Visibility down to under 2 miles in Hillsborough, down to 3/4 of a mile in Aurora, and down to 1/4 mile in Corvallis right now, 1/2 mile in Hood River. This will come and go because we'll get some high clouds coming in later on tonight. The fog will not be all that pervasive all night long. Hey, look, we had new snow on the mountain today. Yes, it was snowing at Timberline. There was 4 inches new. I'll let you know if there's any more on the way and what happens next week. We got a warm spell coming. David?
Oh, definitely need more snow, though. Thanks, Matt. In an update tonight, all but one defendant has settled lawsuits with patients who accused a former Westland doctor of sexual abuse. The remaining defendant, Providence Willamette Falls Medical Center, is scheduled to go on trial on Monday. You may remember Dr. David Farley ran his Westland practice for 30 years while also treating patients at Providence and nearby hospitals. He's been accused of abuse by more than 170 people. Farley has also pleaded not guilty to criminal charges. Those, of course, are separate from the lawsuit. A serial rapist was sentenced in Multnomah County Court today to 45 years in prison. Authorities say Damani Anderson sexually assaulted 5 girls and young women, many of them at gunpoint. Prosecutors add he met his victims through social media or on dating apps. A reminder, if you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, know there's a national hotline. It is open 24/7. The number's here, 800-656-4673.
When they take your truck and trailer, that is your entire livelihood for your family and your employees.
A KGW viewer says a suspected prolific thief he saw in a video on our station was the same guy who stole his truck and trailer. The suspect here, Nicholas Edwards, was arrested earlier this month after officials say he led police on a chase while pulling a stolen trailer across Portland. Prosecutors allege he stole trailers across the metro and put them up for sale online. In one case, he's even accused of stealing the same trailer twice. In this case here, the KGW viewer, a local contractor, reached out to us after seeing this courtroom video of Edwards and remembered what happened to him in 2023 when he was hit as a man stole his truck.
He was within 5 feet of me. I'm standing at the hood of my truck and he's leaning in the steering wheel yelling at me. Pretty easy to see who the guy was. I mean, he hit me right in the chest. That Ford truck, the hood's about that tall. It just knocked me back 10 feet.
Worley has called the DA to report that incident. Prosecutors say that is not the only call they've received, and they're working to see if those cases are connected.